Hello and thanks for joining us here on Encore. Coming up in today's show. We head to Pakistan, where Lahore's hoping to build bridges with its Indian neighbours via the city's first art biennale. Winston Churchill, Brigitte, Bardot and Federico Fellini tipped their hats to photographer Claude Azoulay in a new exhibition here in Paris. And we meet the people behind the green screen technology which makes blockbusters go off with a bang in the special effects studios of London. We're starting the show in Lahore, Pakistan, where the city's hosting its first ever art biennale. Home to a handful of UNESCO World Heritage sites, Lahore's known for its rich artistic history and is gradually positing itself as one of the subcontinent's major cultural centres. Our correspondents went to check out the work on show from both local and regional artists. Shazai Bouahla and Solène Fioriti have this report.
For the organisers of the Lahore Biennale, this is a glorious moment. It was quite the challenge to transform part of the city into a public art space for 14 days, with more than 50 international and local artists exhibiting their work.
By its very scale, by the fact that it brings a lot of attention to new kinds of practices and new publics, it has the capacity to really change things in Lahore, in Pakistan and in the region.
In just a few days, the event has attracted hundreds of people, despite tight security. Anam is 25 and works as an accountant. She's thrilled to be spending her Sunday discovering a new side to her hometown. This sound installation recalls the sad song sung by soldiers from the Indian subcontinent who were sent to fight in the First World War.
What is this installation about?
And it's about the two faces of Pakistan, how Pakistani and Indian soldiers fought for Queen Victoria.
In Pakistan, there are very few places that showcase contemporary art. For Anam, this is a unique opportunity.
There was a bomb blast 5 days ago in Lahore, and in spite of that, we have this festival here, and people are coming in there. There's a lot of crowd over here. And I think it's very important because we are so tired of sitting at home all the time and being scared.
Here in the old walled city of Lahore, this cultural centre is hosting an Indian artist's photo exhibition. Manisha Bazwani's presence here is quite an achievement, given the tensions that exist between India and Pakistan. The photographs portray people whose families were uprooted during the partition of India and Pakistan.
They're meant to be. When I step on the soil, I feel I've come to a home which has been broken, but I've come home. And I feel culture and art are one path which can bring us together.
Organisers hope that the Biennale will be able to bring India and Pakistan together through art.
History with pre-partition India. Do come and take a look.
Next to a collection of photographs from photographer Claude Azoulay, the Franco-Tunisian artist is showing his work in a gallery in Paris' Saint-Germain-des-Prés. And there's one thing all these portraits have in common: hats. Shona Bhattacharya and Julian Cheida went to take a look at some of the famous faces caught by Azoulay's camera, all of them sporting impeccable headwear.
L'essentiel, c'est d'abord de raconter une histoire.
He photographed stars, fashion and politics. Throughout his decades-long career, Claude Azoulay has seen it all, up close, including the idol of his youth, Winston Churchill, the man he credits with saving Europe from the Nazis.
Even very old, he stayed, we can say, quite a happy man, as I saw him in the last years of his life. And now he was just going to have a good lunch in a good restaurant in Côte d'Azur. Well, but he had his cigar after lunch too.
His images are never staged and his subjects always on the move. Brigitte Bardot strikes a pose at the Cannes Film Festival. Here, Italian cinema greats Federico Fellini and Marcello Mastroianni. Sometimes Azoulay just got plain lucky, like when he saw French actress Jeanne Moreau at a market in Brittany.
Suddenly, walking in a small town named Tréguier in this time, we met Jeanne Moreau. They had Bigouden. That's a very symbolic of in Brittany, even now.
The photographer saw glamour in backstage moments as well. These models are relaxing at a hair salon in between two runway shows.
It looks like being in the future. We don't know where we are. We don't know what is it, even today. Even in this time, we may say.
Azoulay captured moments of time that give us a peek at history in the form of art.
He positioned himself looking down over the two protagonists to get three different views in one shot. And for me, that's what makes it a great photograph.
About 30 images are on display, among them never-before-seen photos, further blurring the line between history and art.
Moving to China now, where a monumental new library has opened in Tianjin. While the building has garnered rave reviews for its architecture, some book lovers aren't so impressed. Designed to house more than 1 million books, the library actually contains much fewer for the moment. That's because all of the volumes on display in the main reading room are actually an optical illusion, painted onto the walls. Catherine Viette reveals all.
It's been dubbed the Library of the Future. 6 floors spread out over 33,000 square meters. With its all-white decor and sinuous curves, it looks as if it could be straight out of a sci-fi film.
This architecture gives us the feeling of being in space or in the sea. It's a sea of books. When you look up, it gives the impression of a mountain of books. It's magnificent.
Many say they've come just to admire the building. In China, people are calling it the best library in the world.
I came just to see the architecture, but it's far. If I lived closer, I'd come more often for the books.
Since the Tianjin Library opened, an average of 15,000 people come every weekend. Young and old, avid readers, or just the curious, the library has its share of fans. But in the main room, what looks like books turns out to be an elaborate trick of the eye. They're printed images that only appear real from a distance.
What's important is making people come to the library.
In fact, the books they do have can be found in the adjoining rooms, but the Chinese censors have reviewed the inventory.
Here are the books on politics. We've got works by our president too. Books that criticize the government are prohibited from publication, so you won't find any of those here.
The library has space to hold just over 1 million books, if the government gives its approval.
To movies now, and when it comes to high-octane action blockbusters, most people think of Hollywood. Yet many of those special effects are actually generated in London. Directors have been heading to the British capital for their CGI needs for around 15 years now, and it's in part thanks to a famous boy wizard. Anke Ula tells us more in this report.
Ever wonder what the British capital would look like if a giant meteor came and decimated St. Paul's Cathedral? You may think you know London today, with its banks on the River Thames, but do you know the London of tomorrow? With new skyscrapers and flying taxis? These different scenarios are all created and put into production behind these unassuming doors in the center of London, in special effects studios. Guardians of the Galaxy, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all Hollywood blockbusters that have turned to London for their out-of-this-world special effects.
Out of the last 10 visual effects Oscars, more than half of them have come to London companies. So it's, London has had, it's one of those things where when it starts to do well, people come back for more and more.
Directors know that London is also home to the best training programs, like Escape Studios at Pearson College. Students here don't sit in an auditorium or write dissertations. Instead, they dress up like Spider-Man. But another hero, shorter, with glasses, is responsible for transforming London 15 years ago.
I started behind the camera, including on Harry Potter. London became the global hub of special effects pretty quickly. It started with J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, who demanded that the production was done in London.
Green screen technology has remained the standard for cinematic special effects, but it's constantly being improved. Some of today's effects that last only a few seconds on screen take months to create. That creative process is this French designer's day-to-day. Since moving to London, she's had the chance to work on the latest Star Wars movies.
We added these laser effects. A lot of people dream of working in special effects, especially for big movies we see in theatres. In London, there's a lot more opportunity than in Paris.
London's industry of special effects only fears one monster, a very real one called Brexit. In special effects studios, more than a third of the digital artists come from the European Union.
We're finishing with imagery of a more abstract nature now from the paintbrush of artist František Kupka, whose work is on show at Paris's Grand Palais. A pioneer of abstract art, Kupka's work is characterised by his vivid use of colour, lines and curves which melt into the canvas. We'll leave you with a taste of that early exponent of symbolism and non-figurative art. Remember, you can find more arts and culture on our website, and you can keep up with Encore on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.